Welcome to Nevada Today. I'm your host, Patrick Casale, and today we're going to have a very special show because we're going to have two guests. We're going to start out with my man who's a current assemblyman for District 37. His name is Jim Marchant. We're going to interview you, and we're going to tell you, the listeners and the viewers, how important it is that we vote right. My point I'm going to get across every time I speak, if you don't vote, you can't bitch. And it's time to vote. I don't want to hear, I don't want to vote for this person or that person. If you don't vote for the Republicans this time around, we are in trouble. Jim, how much trouble are we facing in Nevada or even in the nation?
Well, I said last election this was the most important election of our lifetime, and it was, but this time too. If we don't vote a Republican governor in as our governor, our state is toast. We're East California, and it's going to be really, really bad because of at least the 41 bills that were vetoed last session are coming back. And if we don't have a Republican governor in there, they won't get vetoed this time either.
You know, from the governor, lieutenant governor, AG, et cetera, it's very important.
Right.
But our assembly districts, we're in the minority. Is that correct?
Yes, we are in the minority. There are 15 right now, currently 15 Assembly people, 27 Democrats. So we are one seat from losing our super minority, which means that we cannot uphold a veto. If Adam were to veto, if we're at 14 seats, we get overridden by the Assembly, the Democrats in the Assembly. So it's important that we elect our Republican Assembly people.
Before I get into your specific position and your opponent, let's talk about, are there any Assembly people running this time around that are very vulnerable on our side?
I've heard they're coming after my seat and Richard MacArthur's seat because we are, last time we were down a little bit in 16, and that was expected because it's a presidential cycle, but now even this time, I'm actually negative. There are actually more Democrats in my district than there are Republicans.
And Richard as well?
Richard as well, yes.
Because that was a seat I actually was going to seek. Right. It wasn't 2 years ago, but going forward.
Right.
And I will sit here and tell you, I know the community very well,
yeah.
and it is scary.
It's scary, yeah.
But you know, what bothers me is during the primary season, and you're fortunate not to have a primary, but
right.
We're killing each other.
Yes, I know.
I mean, we call each other everything but human.
I know. It's not good, but that's part of the game. That's the way it's played, and we just have to deal with it as best we can.
Let's break down your assembly seat. So you're in 37.
I'm in District 37.
And what you did the other day on Kevin Walsh's show, I thought was class.
Yeah.
They asked you specifically about your opponent, and you were a gentleman.
Yeah.
The only thing you said that would be derogatory in the left side is that if you voted for her, she's going to be voting for Nancy Pelosi and the progressive left.
Exactly. And I've met her, and she's very nice, and I have no issues with her. And probably if she wasn't a Democrat, she would probably agree with most of what we believe. But because she's a Democrat, she's going to have to vote in lockstep with her leadership, which has been proven by the bills that they put forth last session were disastrous for our state. I mean, it's minimum wage, the single-payer health care, Harry Reid Airport, you name it. It's just a disaster. iPads for prisoners. I mean, the bills that they put forward were a disaster.
Where does the money come from?
Well, the taxpayers.
Exactly.
Yeah, the taxpayers.
So what are some of your goals and ambitions this time around if and when you get reelected? And I believe you will get reelected, but when it happens, what are you going to be doing differently this time that you didn't do 2 years ago?
Probably not much because last session I was rated by a number of publications that rate legislators at the top of the conservative list. NPRI is one, Nevada Policy Research Institute. They evaluate legislators on how they vote on predominantly fiscal issues, and I was number 2, only behind Robin Titus, who is an excellent conservative from up north, and just lost to her by just a little bit. I was number 1 in the Assembly with the Matt Slapp's American Conservative Union, and I was the only legislator in the Assembly to grade 90 or above.
You have a BDR out about gold,
I do.
And I know you to be very conservative. So I want to talk about 2 big topics. I want to talk about Yucca Mountain.
Okay.
Let's first talk about your BDR and your expectations and how great this would be for the state of Nevada.
Yeah, so I met some people that are very knowledgeable about precious metals, and and we started talking, and they told me about what Utah did. They did a bill up in Utah to make gold and silver legal tender. And part of that process, we started talking. I said, well, that sounds like a good idea for Nevada, but we took it one step further and said, you know what, we in Nevada, we pull out 160 metric tons of gold every year, around there, and we get a royalty on that. So what better state to offer gold and silver bonds and pay interest on them than Nevada? If Nevada was a country, we would be number 4 in the world in gold production.
If your BDR got approved, what does it mean for Nevada, the constituents of Nevada, top and bottom,
Well,
east and west?
yeah, so one of the things that happened to me during my last cycle and this cycle, election cycle, is I go out and I'm walking, right, and I meet people in my district, and I see these seniors who have worked all their life. They've worked their butt off, and their pensions and their savings are dwindling to nothing because the Federal Reserve debases our currency 2% per year. That means the purchasing power, we lose 2% purchasing power every year on our dollar. So we did an analysis we went back to 2000, and we calculated if you took $1 then and you invested it in regular Nevada paper bonds, right? That was based on the paper dollar. What would it be worth today in 2018? And it was 94 cents. 94 cents with a 2% interest. So we also went back and said, okay, if my bill had been passed in 2000, the Gold and Silver Bond Enabling Act in 2000, and what would it be today? $3.92.
It's almost a 400% return.
Yeah, 292% gain. So look at what it could do for PERS. PERS, that's why they're struggling. They can't, they have to do riskier investments just to stay even, just to stay at $1. But everybody wants to gain. You want more than $1. If you're investing, you want more than $1. So if we do this with the gold and silver bonds, then you've got a great investment tool, and it could actually go a long way towards saving our PERS right here in Nevada.
Besides PERS, what are the other top 3 things that will do for the state of Nevada if the BDR gets passed?
Okay, so right now we've got about $11 billion worth of bonds out right now,
right,
based on the paper dollar. If we do the gold bonds here, we'll do an auction. And because the gold bonds are going to be in high demand, we'll do an auction, and they'll actually pay more than $1. So you'll have people coming in, and I'm talking trillions of dollars, I've been told. They're ready for this. They'll come in and we'll say, okay, we're going to do an auction, so we'll start at $1, and we anticipate that we could get like $1.25, or even more, maybe $1.50 for each one of these paper bonds that's currently out there, because that's one thing we're going to do is require that we exchange current paper bonds. And by doing that, we cut the deficit immediately. So we might go down to $8 billion just by doing that. We can cut our debt tremendously right away.
So that'd be a big deal for the state of
Nevada. That'd be a big deal for the state of Nevada. There's so many advantages. Just the increase in the mining industry. The price of gold's going to go up. Our credit rating for the state is going to increase. So there's a ton of advantages.
You're very fiscally responsible. You've always looked at how we can generate income, how we can spend our money wisely. You looked at Yucca Mountain as a resource.
That's right.
Tell the viewers how important this could be.
Yeah, so about 3 or 4 years ago, if you know, Harry Reid does a clean energy summit out here every year, or used to. I don't know whether he still does. So anyway, the Heartland Institute out of Chicago, I know one of the guys, the president at the time, and he's a big climate change guy, denier. He doesn't believe in that like me. I think it's a hoax. So he said, well, let's do a counter proposal or a counter summit to Harry's. So we did that out here. And as a result of that, we started talking about energy and what we could do to help our energy situation here. And out of that we talked about Yucca Mountain, and we knew that Yucca Mountain at the time was dead. But out of that came the idea of these small modular reactors and new energy generation source. But anyway, forward to Donald Trump's elected. And then the Congress is saying, okay, we're going to open up Yucca Mountain again, right? So all last session, there was a bill, SJR 4, I believe. I think it was a resolution to tell Trump, hey, don't do this. Don't open up Yucca Mountain. So I took the opportunity to say, okay, I agree. We don't want Yucca Mountain to be a dump. But if you're going to force this on Nevada, we want something in return. So we want to, the money that's in the pot now that was paying for this, to pay for a reprocessing facility out here so we can take this material in from this 39 sites and reprocess it and sell it. And that money goes to Nevada. That money is ours. So we make billions and billions of dollars reselling this recycled material. And then why don't we also pay everybody a royalty like Alaska does? So that's the goal here. I've been working with Mark Amadei. We actually got an amendment in the bill in the House, and it passed, and he put it in appropriations, and so it's $267 million coming initially to start the process to study and do a report on exactly what can be done for reprocessing and the small modular reactors, and basically build a Livermore type labs right here in Nevada.
Is Dean involved? Does Dean support this?
Not yet.
Got to get him on board.
We got to get him on board.
He's got to win as well.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we got to vote for you in Assembly District 37, but we have to start looking at people for what they're going to do. And what I like about you're a man of action. Instead of being on a defense, you're on the offense. You're always trying to go forward.
Right.
So you got 10 seconds to give me a good summary. What's your ambition? What's your goal once you're elected again for 37?
Well, just to stop the bad bills that are coming, that I know are coming. That's what we have to do. And like we talked about earlier, it's so important that we don't lose any seats in the Assembly or Senate. So that's critical. So everybody needs to get out and vote. We've got to get the people that voted for Trump, that came out, that hadn't voted in years. We've got to get those guys engaged again and get them to come out, because that's the only way we're going to win, because the field is tipped in the Democrats' favor.
Jim, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
If you're out there and you're smart, you're going to vote Jim Marchant, Assembly District 37. If you don't vote, you can't bitch. We'll be right back.